Delivery, Head of Engineering Services, Life Sciences and Health, Rajiv, President, External Affairs, Sajanand Medical Technologies, New Delhi. Dr. Binu Philip, Head Business Development, Zydus Research Center, Zydus Life Sciences, Ahmedabad, to kindly please come on the stage. We also have Dr. Jitendra Kumar, Managing Director, BIRAC, who will be joining us online. A huge round of applause for all our panelists. Just please give us a moment while we join Dr. Jitendra Kumar online. So while the pandemic was going on, the entire nation realized the importance of not only maintaining good health and well-being, but also the importance of having medical device technologies, healthcare technologies developed in-house and developed within the country. It is very interesting to note that it is very interesting to note that India imports approximately 80% of its medical devices. And last year, the medical device imports from India increased from 44,000 crores to 63,000 crores, showing 41% growth. So we have come together as stakeholders of this community to discuss how can we become medtech manufacturing hubs, biomanufacturing hubs, and how can all the pieces of a product development jigsaw puzzle, that's identifying the need, product design, prototyping, validation, regulatory, manufacturing, procurement, sales, how everything can come together to truly become an Atmanirbhar Bharat. I hand over the session to Professor Bandyopadhyay to take forward the discussion.
Um, First of all, my request is that the stalls that are closer by, if the hum goes down a little bit, cannot hear me, right? Hello, hello. Okay. First, I would like to request the stalls nearby to, if possible, tone down the hum a little bit so that we can hear each other. I welcome all the panelists, Dr. Jitendra Tiwari, Dr. Dinesh Tiwari, Dr. Balamurugan, Dr. Rajiv Chibar, Dr. Binu Philip, and Dr. Jitendra Kumar. So I will
Hello, good morning, good afternoon. Can you hear me? Yes, sir. इसमें तो आई नहीं, ऑडियो नहीं आई.
of what happened. I don't think that the nation regrets it happened that way, because so far no adverse reports are known about any of these products, at least from IIT Kanpur. But after the COVID is done, we are back to normal. Things are again not moving fast. As a result, what is happening from the perspective of a startup ecosystem player, startups, unlike established industries, they do not have a fat bank balance. If their product after the beta prototype stage, it is not getting the permission to market, or if they cannot raise the fund to manufacture, after 5, 6, 7 months, they will run out of money. The product will be abandoned, and it is a loss for everybody. So in today's panel discussion, I have requested my co-panelists understand some of these issues and put it in the perspective. So my first question is towards Mr. Dinesh Tiwari, who is from UP FBA. Sir, the problem is that startups or innovators, they are not afraid of meeting norms. The common perception is that they do not know what are the goals to be met. There is no SOP, no roadmap by which people get to know that this is the category of your device. These are the tests you get to get done, and you will get the license. And also there is a huge confusion between, particularly for Class A devices, that when the state FDA's responsibility starts and when it is the central FDA. So because you are an integral part of the ecosystem, so I request for the benefit of our startups, if you please elucidate for them how they should proceed and how UP FSDA can help them.
Thank you very much. Actually, there is no confusion regarding the process of application and the classification of medical device. Before 2017, all medical devices and IVD were regulated under the drugs and cosmetic rules. And medical devices and IVD were not defined separately. Today also, the medical devices and IVDs are notified as drugs under Section 3B of the Drugs and Cosmetics Act and regulated under medical device rules. After implementation of medical device rules, the things are very clear. Depending on the risk factor of the medical device or IVD, these are classified as Class A, Class B, Class C, and Class D. Class A and B are under the purview of state regulatory authority, and Class C and Class D are under the purview of central government CDSCO. So you have to see the even classification list is published by the CDSCO under each category, hospitals and respiratory systems, IVDs, each category is well defined, and the names and their generic names are published on the website of the CDSCO, and even we can provide to the any entity who desires to know about the classification of medical devices. Now come to the application. The whole process is online, cdscomdonline.gov.in, the URL domain on which you can apply for the medical device licenses. If you are applying for the Class A and Class B, you have to choose the Form MD 3 and you will get the license in MD 5. You have to read carefully the contents of the medical device master file and site master file. Currently, there is lack of knowledge about the contents of the site master file and device master file, and the how to apply. It is true, but it is well defined under the medical device rules. If you go through the medical device rules and read carefully the templates provided in provided for the site master file and device master file, you can easily understand how to write and what should be written, what should be given in the forms, and how to prepare the device master file. And I request to all such entrepreneurs or startups who are working in this campus, they can form a group and we can assist them before they starting their work, before they starting their application. We can guide them to how to prepare site master. This is the very easy. Just you have to understand the contents. Just you have to understand the what has to be written, what has not to be written in the device master file. Everything has to be uploaded on the CDSUMD online, and you will get the license within time. For the class B products, there is a notified body, and it requires to be audited by the notified body before the approval of the your license. So notified body, we forward application to the notified body approaches you. You have to get audited by the notified body uploads their own report to the portal. And after the scrutiny of that application, you will get the license through online system itself. Better you have to form you can form a small group, a WhatsApp group you can form, and I will personally guide you to how to apply and how to write the documents, how to collect the documents. Coming to the new medical device, if you are inventing any new medical device or new IVD, you have to check whether this medical device and IVD is already classified and generic name is notified by the CDSU or not. You can check it from the list of the CDSU. If it is not there, then you have to apply for the classification and you have to apply for as a new medical device or new IVD. And if it is depending on the risk of that medical device and the IVD, you require if it is very new, then you will get the permission under the new medical device for the clinical investigation, and you have to conduct the clinical investigation. After successful completion of the clinical investigation, CDSU will approve your product. And after that, depending on the class of the medical device, you will have to apply for the final commercial license under class A, class B, class C, or class D. If your product is under the class C or class D, you have to apply on the same portal, and you will select the application form according to your classification. Sometimes you need manufacturing of a kit containing more than one medical device. So in that case, if it kit containing more than one medical device, the final classification of the kit will depend on the highest risk containing medical device.
Yeah.
Suppose your kit is containing 5 medical devices and one of them is of the class C, then the medical kit, the class of the medical device kit will be considered as the class C, even the kit containing class A medical device. So how will prepare that kit? So you will manufacture class A and class B products separately under the license of class A, class B, and you will manufacture class C product under the license of class C and assemble all the products, all the medical devices in one unit as a kit under class C license. This is the classification and this is the process of your application.
Thank you, Tiwari ji. So this is very good news for our startups that you are offering to personally help. So what we will do as an incubator is we will appoint a liaison from the incubator side who will act as the intermediary between the UP FSDA and the incubator. And perhaps we will hold some workshops, etc., online, offline, to help them. And yes, your cooperation will be really appreciated.
One more thing, it is better to learn yourself. If you are entrepreneur, if you are going to manufacture, if you are going to also depend on the licensing agent or the consultant. If you are not knowing anything technically, you may be loser. Number two, we have also incentives under Uttar Pradesh Pharmaceutical and Medical Device Industry Policy 2023. From that, you can get the benefits as a startup as well as the manufacturer. So just go through the our policy. It is available on our website fsdaup.gov.in. It is on the home page. You can download that policy and you can read and you can understand how much incentive you can get from the Uttar Pradesh government as a capital incentive, as a interest incentive, and even as a startups. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I will now move to my left. This often happens that to get a medical device certified, or before you can approach CDSCO, you need certain tests done, some of which will require animal trial. Forget about clinical trial. In both these cases, it is often required that the devices or IVDs are produced in a certified facility. So that makes it a egg and chicken problem, because unless you have the money, you cannot set up the certified facility. And unless you have the certified facility, you cannot take the product for trial, even for animal trial. And that is a cash intensive problem, considering that in our country, VCs and angels are still reluctant to fund in this sector. And that's where I would request for the Balamurugan that the existing industries, they have the ability, they will often have the required facilities. Is it at all possible that startups can collaborate with existing industries? Of course, it will not be pro bono, but it will not be that the product becomes of the industry. Is there a way that startups can work with existing industries in a win-win situation?
Thank you. Probably, first of all, very good afternoon. Thanks for the opportunity to be part of this elite panel. I take 30 seconds to give the background of myself, because since everybody sees I'm from HCL Technologies, people may be wondering, what is the connection between IT company versus the medtech? So I'm part of the engineering services group where we are doing product design and development for global medtech companies for the last 25 years. So my response will be based on those experiences. So I will actually address the question from three parts. One is product design and development and validation. The second part is the animal and clinical trial. We have been interacting with global medtech companies. We are watching how things are happening. What happens even in the established products, the kind of issues and the recalls, the safety issues, and the various clinical trials, how the ecosystem is there globally. So here is my observation. First, on the product design and development, the startup companies primarily focus more on the science and technology portion. Probably the medical fraternity gives the unmet need, and then the science and technology team is focusing on the finding a solution. But when you really have to launch a product which will be used with the patients, safety becomes the first criteria than innovation. So innovation is definitely there, But patient safety is the first criteria. That's why you have standards like risk management 14971 and things like that. So my request to all the startup companies, even the panel member also was talking about familiar with regulatory standards, rather than the licensing officer or anyone. So first, I think we should put little bit of an effort in terms of understanding the overall, product design and development processes and standards. For example, I was analyzing the, recalls that happened in the last 12 months in US FDA, because it is a data that is published publicly. There is a product which delivers insulin drug automatically for diabetes management. And there is a mobile application. There is a software error because of which the product is recalled. In FDA, they call class 1 recall, which means, it can cause death to the patient or serious injuries. When the user enters, 0.20 units, the software is recognizing as 20 units. 0.20. But when the 0 is missed by the user, it is taken as 20 units. This is a software error. Because of it, there is a recall. It's a public news. I don't want to name the company. Now let's talk about another, major corporation. They have a product which is used for draining the cerebral fluid liquid. There is a connection required between the tubing set and this. It is not designed properly or manufactured properly. Because of which, what happened, there were series of injuries and the product has to be recalled. Another incident is with respect to an infant incubator. Incubator, there is a door latch which is there. It is giving a misleading indicator that the door is locked, but door is not locked actually. And the newborn babies have fallen. And there were serious injuries for the newborn babies. I'm giving number of examples of recall because all these things have got nothing to do. It has got something to do with the robust design. The ideation may always come. People are too great, the startup companies. But there has to be a rigor in terms of putting the product for commercial use. So that is the first part. This is what I have observed in the last 25 years of dealing with the global medtech companies. Right? The second part comes to the what my panel member has told. We have close to 8,000 engineers in my group actually, all consisting of doctors, pharmacists, mechanical engineers, software engineers, electrical engineers, all designing and developing, sustaining class A, B, C, D products for global market. So I 100% agree with him because unless the engineer is aware of the risk management standard, unless the engineer is aware of the safety standards, it is very difficult. It is not the documentation. It is about converting the requirements into the product design. It can be manufacturing, it can be vendor evaluation, it can be supply chain. So it is very important that we really appoint regulatory managers. Because you use the word liaison officer, I will actually use the word regulatory officer or clinical specialist. They have to be there. We can invest, maybe as part of the startup center, they can invest. And we are very much willing to help. For example, in my team, there are 300 people who are focusing on regulatory alone. We're interacting closely with CDSO and all that. We can also help all the startup companies in terms of mentoring so that they will get to know upfront what are the requirements before releasing the product into market. It could be classification, all the validation to be done. That is my first response on the product design part. The second part is about the clinical validation part. I think a professor touched upon the need to support the startup companies with clinical trials. Actually, I will slightly deviate from that. As we speak, we are doing a class 3 implantable product for Indian market. It has gone through a clinical trial and it is very successful. Now we are entering into pivotal study. When we go to pivotal study and when we reach out to, say 15 different medical centers across the country, we reach out to them. There is always a skepticism, oh, will it really work? Though we have launched Sandra and all that. There is always a doubt in the minds of the medical fraternity in the country. So we need to give a lot of confidence in terms of our ability to give a product which is very, very safe for their patient. So I think that has to be the first focus. We have done quite a lot in this country. I'm sure, we will do, more and more to bring in the confidence. The people who are actually part of the overall, design and development. For example, when you do a startup, I'm sure there is a doctor also associated with that. So they are very good. Yes. Okay. So if we bring in confidence with the medical fraternity in terms of the reliability and safety, I'm sure we can enthuse those communities to participate. Now, coming back to the pilot production, when we really complete the product, we have to really do a little bit of commercial, limited commercial launch or pilot launch. One major requirement is the products have to be production equivalent. This is again to going back to the regulatory aspect. I just wanted to definitely re-emphasize this. The products, when you take it for clinical trial, they have to be production equivalent, no compromise, because it should be consistent. I was watching one of the stalls where they have a product where I think something for hearing impaired. So there are some nuances related to maintaining consistency in a production line. So it has to be production equivalent. Then only the problems associated with the design, but issues may come because of the various supply chain or processes. It will come out very well. So it has to be production equivalent. Now, how do we support the startup companies? Number one, I was really debating on this point with my colleagues as well. One is to incentivize these large companies to really, help the startup companies. It has to be a mandate. For example, like the way CSR mandate is there, and startup ecosystem is supported by Government of India through policies. So we should definitely mandate. First one is internship for our, students. It has to be mandated. Second is to really, so much percentage of support should be given to startups which are actually coming out with centers like SIIC, for example. I think that will really motivate some of these companies to, like the way CSR is happening today. The second, which is already happening quite a lot from Government of India, is to create a shared production and test centers. AMTZ is a great example where AIMED was associated with that. I think we should get more of that in medtech parks across the country, where the government should definitely incentivize private partnership, plus they should create shared centers. We can definitely help.
Under development, and we will bug you to help them with their regulatory thinking. Thank you very much. The same question now I'm going to Dr. Chivar.
Thank you, sir, and thank you, IIT Kanpur, for having me and IMED here. As Dr. Bhamukan said, the aspect of each and every medical device cluster and medical park needs to ingrain startups is also something that needs to be within a policy framework. But what is happening now is in most of the medical devices parks, unfortunately, a carved way of looking at how startups can be a part of it is not looked into. And when this happens, the entire policy making from startups to existing companies. Now, we all, for instance, is my company. We have in Hyderabad, we have in Surat, we have in Bangalore, large factories. companies like us can actually afford to have CFCs, common facilities that sir was just mentioning about. But how many companies or how many startups can afford a 3 crore Gamma center within their facility itself? Forget about it. How many companies or how many startups will have approximately 20 acres of land with them, where they require at least 3.5 acres to set up a common infrastructure facility. So what we've actually promulgated to the government of India and through the EPC, which is, the Export Promotion Council also, is allocation of funds where three major things can be offsetted. One is the availability of the regulator himself. So as sir mentioned, the CDSO can actually be a part, or then if there could be a possibility of having an attached CDSO office in most of the medical devices parks, it helps them a lot. It will help them not only to navigate their entire project itself, but also will be able to scale them as and when they grow from one particular device to another particular device. Of course, it needs to be really packaged well for that project to be presented to the drug regulator. The second thing is the EPC is now working with the Department of Pharmaceuticals and the and DPIIT, which is Department of Industry, Trade Promotion, and is how to have these common facilities made into a fee-for model. So when these facilities, whether it is, basic facilities like STP setups also are available for them, it's just a subscription fee that they will be paying rather than, owning something and burning their own money into it. That will be very, very helpful. And the third thing that will really help the entire ecosystem will be to have an academic institution attached to it. Without an academic institution, there are certain parameters that I think now with the medical devices industry growing at almost 35% CAGR will really, really help. Firstly is your sustained manpower requirement. Now, what happens is in most of the cases, we end up training pharmacists. We end up training people who are, not directly aligned to the industry and them into that entire thing. This will offset the industry's, capacity building programs itself. There you could then divert that money for the industries into other CSR activities that go and help the new startups itself. Or an existing startup would actually needs to scale, which is very, very important. And the third thing which will happen is with these, if these facilities that are there in the medical devices, validated facilities, the probability of the product being in hospitals, the probability of the product being in even government setups becomes more acceptable because the validation has been done through a certified body. The validation has been done under the CDSO's guidance also, and ultimately an academic institution has trained the manpower to basically understand the entire demographic profiling that is required. And in this case, the demographic profiling becomes more important because you're targeting something very important.
Yeah, so to all the panelists from the industry, just yesterday I proposed a comprehensive MTech program on biomedical engineering from IIT Kanpu. So certainly I'll be knocking on your doors this November to send them for industry immersion. So we'll do that. I will now go to Dr. Jitendra Kumar, who's the MD of BIDAC. I do not think it will be an overstatement if I say that the reason India could fight back the COVID pandemic is because of the startup ecosystem that was already put in place, where BIDAC played a major role. And BIDAC has just completed 10 years. We are associated with it from the very beginning. So I have two quick questions to the BIDAC MD. The first one is, if we can just inform the audience for our feel good measure that what has been the amount of investment that BIRAC made specifically in the medtech segment in last 10 years, and what is the current cumulative revenue of all these companies? This is a quick question, quick answer, then I will come back with another question.
Okay. So, as you know,
Dr. Jitendra Kumar, please.
can you hear me? Am I audible? Am I audible? Can you hear me?
Dr. Jitendra Kumar, you could hear me, right?
I can hear you, but can you hear me? Is it some you can hear me now? It's echoing, I think. Can you hear me now? I can't hear you now. No, I'm not able to hear you. Hello. Yeah, because you were not audible. After that, you were audible, but I was not audible. So yeah, it's a very good innovative way. Good. So we do not do an investment per se, like taking shares or equities, etc. Only for some programs we have that program of equity, etc. But in general, we fund through grant mechanism. So in that sense, I am taking investment. The word investment. I am taking the grant also as a grant also. So yeah. So grant we have so far for last 10 years, the cumulative grant that we have funded to all the sectors so far would be around 3,000 crores. The grants, so many programs actually. Biotech Ignition grant is there. Then of course, starting with the SPARSH program, then we have BIPP, SIBRI, we have PACE program, EIR, then we have equity funding program, and beyond that, also we have specialized programs we have floated, for example, preclinical research, for example, vaccine, etc. So all together, we have calculated actually yesterday when I got this question, because this is very important data that we have to have. So I asked our finance department and all the heads, etc. So approximately 3,000 CR has gone for the last 10 years in various sectors. And we do not have the exact figure for the medtech, but so far one indication is that whatever proposals we receive, 50% are from medtech, actually speaking. So from that angle, if you say around 1,500 CR has gone to the medtech sector. And as far as revenue is concerned, we keep on asking the companies who have been funded through us, but sometimes they don't share the revenues, etc. So we don't have that figure too. But I will give you another figure which we have come across through our, intelligence sources or, secondary sources or, even primary sources, is that the valuation of the companies have gone tenfold from what we had initially funded. The other way, actually, I'm telling is the amount of money that they have raised after we have funded has gone 10 times. If we have funded 1x, they have actually brought 10 so far in 10 years, actually. So that means if 1,500 crores, if we have funded, then you multiply by 10, that is what the valuation of those companies or the money that they have brought to other funding mechanisms is there. So this is in general, I'm saying exact figures I can, calculate and give, but these are general, approximations that I have received from my department. Yes. Yes, yes. So this is so relevant for our country that I cannot tell you. I mean, it's so relevant, this discussion. And at various forums, I have promoted that, in startup and industry should work together. The reason is simple. We don't have an early stage venture funding for our country. That is one. But the second one is we don't have the experience of the industry being translated to the startups because they work in different zones, actually silos. So BIREC has been trying to create a platform. Now we are talking to Association of Biotech-led Enterprises, ABLE, which is an industry body. And they now are working very closely with us to create a platform where startups can interact with the bigger companies. In fact, if you remember in the Global Bio India, we had this session actually where bigger companies and we had connected with the startup companies. The idea is that the startup companies may not have the wherewithal to actually cross those chasms, I would say, chasms, because industry people have already seen it, done it, etc. And at the same time, I feel that the startup companies having their, the risk-taking abilities and the innovativeness can be actually leveraged by the industry. Because see, in Microsoft, if we see, and even in biological sciences companies like Johnson and Johnson, they have created their own incubation center. They have their own innovation center. Why? The reason is they want to actually see that some of these startups can actually create the pipeline of products that they are into market. So why our companies cannot create that model where say they connect with the portfolio of startups which falls within their domain, and then they work with them, strategic collaboration, exits, etc. is possible. I have done this with, when I was at Bangalore Bioinnovation Center, Sun Pharma was very keen to interact with our startups. So we had created this platform where many startups would actually, pitch with at the Sun Pharma. And there were some other bigger companies also. So definitely this can work out. There are some examples in BIREC also where smaller companies have been taken over by the bigger company entity or funded partially, etc. So that is possible. And I think we should promote it. From BIREC point of view, I would love to promote it. Sure. Okay. 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 Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Good afternoon, sir.
So let's try to frame this question in a different manner. I think if you look at the global pharmaceutical market size, it's close to 1.4 trillion US dollars. And if you now zoom back into India, what is the size of the Indian market? It's close to 50 billion US dollars. So from a opportunity size, we are looking at a manifold opportunity that can be tapped. Now, how can we do that? We can do that if we have more startups and if we have more pharmaceutical companies that are working on innovation. Now at Zydus, we have been able to develop innovative products all the way from concept to market. But it's very difficult, although it's very rewarding. It's very difficult because so many new drugs that you develop, they fail in various stages of development. It could fail in discovery stage, it could fail in phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, or maybe I think at the late regulatory stages. And we can also see commercial failures as well. So to make this ecosystem work for India and to grow our pharmaceutical market, you need a lot of startups to come out with new ideas. And the industry is always hungry, is always looking out for new opportunities, as well as new technologies and products that they can commercialize. So we would always encourage startups to reach out to us more often and at different stages of development, because we are always there to help. And that's the only way. I think once we guide you, I think the startups will be able to take their programs forward, or we may collaborate with you to take those programs forward into the clinic or into the market. And if we have more programs coming up, then I think India would grow as an economy, and our pharmaceutical industry would also increase in size. So it's very important that this ecosystem is built. To put another point in perspective, if you look at how many new drugs have been innovated in India, and if you ask that question, you will see like barely few, like Zydus has been able to innovate a drug called saroglitazole, but it took us 13 long years. The second drug that we innovated was a drug called desidustat for treating chronic kidney disease-induced anemia. Again, it took us, say, close to 10 years. So the companies need a lot of patience. We have a recent example of Orchid Pharma, which was able to innovate an antibacterial product. Again, I think it took a decade-long investment in terms of so many stakeholders working together. And it happened to be a US company that eventually brought the Orchid Pharma's molecule onto the marketplace. So I think, and Wokhart has another example. So barely few examples which can be counted. But if you put the same perspective and look at how many new drugs are getting approved in the United States every year, the number is, say, close to 50. So if you have to do that, you need a huge ecosystem of institutions like IITs, institutions like NIPERS, AIMS, and so many, as well as so many startup ecosystem that we need. We need to work together with BIRAC and other organizations as well to ensure that we have so many ideas and so many products which we can reach to the patients and where we can generate revenue. So, and as a result, I think the entire pharmaceutical ecosystem can grow in the country.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And, I must say that from all the industry leaders, the common theme is that they're keen to work with the startups, keen to help the startups. Now, I will look at our startups, that how much they bug me to bug the industry leaders. So please, you have your job cut out. We will, in the interest of time, quickly change the topic. And since Dr. Binu Philip is the only member from the pharma industry here, so BIRAC is coming out with a scheme for biomanufacturing. And as an academic institution, we have strength in many areas, but I would not necessarily say that we understand what needs to be manufactured that will help the industry, because that's the idea, that we promote some kind of a biomanufacturing which will help the industry in a synergistic manner. So since you represent a very large industry and lot of different pipelines you have. So from purely from an industry perspective, what kind of product or manufacturing process would you want an academic institute to standardize or create the SOP for, which will help guide us?
So, so again, a very nice question. So if you look at the number of new drug approvals that happens across the globe, you have the category of new chemical entities, then you have the category of biologics. Now, biologics are very important as far as the sector is concerned. You have therapeutic proteins, you have monoclonal antibodies, you need nanobodies, you are now seeing the evolution of CAR-Ts, and you are seeing the evolution of the radiopharmaceuticals. And each of these sectors, they bring in billions of dollars of revenue back to the country as well as to the entire ecosystem. So what we would expect the institutions like IITs or funding institutions like is abilities to manufacture these therapeutic proteins as well as monoclonal antibodies. Like say, for example, antibody drug conjugates is coming out as a huge therapeutic segment. You must have seen there are a lot of licensing deals that has been done by major US pharmaceutical companies. And interestingly, they are sourcing these innovations from China. Now, why has China evolved as a country? Because there is a heavy thirst on innovation. I think we need, and there is a heavy support from the government to bring out those particular sectors. So we need that kind of focus to come into the biomanufacturing sector. We need, in India, we do not have sectors that can focus on radiopharmaceuticals. But if you look globally, radiopharmaceuticals have been growing into $1 billion plus industry in itself. So, and there are a lot of possibilities to merge radiotherapy along with biomanufacturing to make these radiopharmaceuticals a success. So that is another area that we would suggest BIRAC to invest in. I think we need these radiopharmaceutical sectors as well. Third area that we would suggest is trying to develop facilities where we can manufacture nanobodies. And there could be a fourth area, which is also very important and which we can divest a bit from your question. And that is, are we able to discover targets as a country? Because if you look at the US ecosystem, there have been so many universities that are able to initially identify those targets, validate those targets, make initial hits against those targets, and then a startup is formed, which is working on a very new innovative concept. And then it is brought over or licensed by a big pharmaceutical company. So I think, can we have that kind of a stream? Can we be able to both discover and validate new targets in India? I think that is something that we can also think of as a country.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Philip. This is really, really insightful because I also head the Department of Biosciences and Biotechnology Engineering at IIT Kanpu. So I'm trying to map some of my colleagues in that. Yeah, Dr. Sidhu, you are now there, right? So, like, I wanted to ask that I know that it is still a scheme that is evolving, but if you can share a little bit about what is the expectation of BIRAC out of this biomanufacturing program, and how do you think we should think about when it comes to working with the industry? And because the industry should be the downstream user of the product of these facilities. So if you can share your insight a little bit, that will be very useful for not only the academic institute, but also the startups, because some of them are into biomanufacturing, bioprocess industries. Thank you.
Yeah. So let me tell you a few facets of biomanufacturing, which has necessitated government of India to take action, and that too through BIRAC. One is that the startups which we have funded for last 10 years, as I've given you the data, they may be, some of them may be making revenues or
attracted funding.
that doesn't mean that they are into, most of them are into market. Because, they are stuck at sometimes, the scale up. Scale up is a big for the startups. So even though we prepare them for proof of concept and fund them at the
initial risky stages,
the
bottleneck that they face later is they don't have facilities for
manufacturing. Pilot scale, at least for clinical trials or for, clinical patient.
Where do they go? They go to the existing industry, but again, it's very costly. Industry may not welcome them.
Or
they may have more industry also because they are very small and IP protection and so many other things. So there's a gap.
Of
course,
industry
may not be able to cater to the burgeoning startup that we are having in India now.
Second
facet is
our
industry
also
wants to change to or needs to change to the bio side. So if there are pharmaceutical industry or chemical industry, there should be a paradigm shift now, looking at the ecological sustainability, looking at the returns on investment, or looking at where the world is going. So biomanufacturing is something that one day we have to move on. When there is a paradigm shift, it's easier said than done because companies which are doing, chemical-based synthesis and so many other things
suddenly change to biomanufacturing. It requires a lot of R&D and innovation. It
requires synthetic
approach to create vectors, to create
the whole organisms which can produce this in fermentation, so many other things.
Concerns. So it is
again, although they may be leaders in their chemical industry, but now if they have to shift to a bio side,
again the
whole paradigm shift has to happen. So then these two facets, one is the startups having a problem, and the second is industry needs to be taken to the biomanufacturing thing. Government of India has come up with a biomanufacturing project, which is very ambitious project. BIRAC is implementation partner for DBT. The expectations from industry is that if they have to set up a biomanufacturing unit, then they have to co-invest with the government. The government will give some support, but they have to co-invest. The ratio of co-investment so far is not crystallized, but we would think that 70-30, if 70% government can give, 30% industry can give minimum. They can come with more also. The second aspect is if they create such facility, then they should keep aside some capacity for the startups. So startups should be able to scale up in those facilities. And there are two birds that has to be killed through one stone. One is the industry would have, as I said in my previous discussion, the industry would have the number of startups within their own domain, most probably, who can act, with whom they can collaborate and, strategic partnerships can happen. But the most important thing is that the startup will get a good facility and the mentorship and the, supervision of a bigger company to scale up their product. So this is overall. I think, but I can answer more specific questions.
This is fine. We got it very loud and clear, and our academia and the startups should start thinking along that how they can align with this major initiative of the government. And I think all of us agree that it will address a critical gap that exists today. And it is really risk sharing of the industry by the government and leveraging academia's R&D strength. So that is very, very good. So with that, we will have to end the panel discussion because it is lunchtime. And I must thank all the panelists, Sri Tiwari ji, Mr. Tiwari wants to say something, so let's hear him out.
Thank you. Actually, I would like to say something. What are the ways to translate startups into commercial production? It is bitter truth that no company is going to produce a competitor of its own. So no company will never assist a startup to manufacture a product which may become competitor for its own product. Number one. Number two, nobody gives anything in the free cost. These are the two bitter truths.
No, that is.
So what are the ways
Hmm.
to translate startups into commercial production?
No,
First, it's a life science and concerned with the safety of the patient at large. So as a regulator, we cannot allow any product to be brought into market if the safety is not proven and if it is not safe for the patient. So what can be done? You can start a product manufacturing at a startup facility for the testing purpose, and after that you can collaborate with a manufacturing unit and you can have a loan license. There is a facility of loan license. If you are having no money, no manufacturing units, etc., but you have technology and ability to manufacture, ability to market the product, you can collaborate with any manufacturing unit and you can have a loan license for that purpose, and the product shall be considered as the manufactured by you itself. There will be no name of the actual manufacturers. There will be no name of your manufacturing.
We are
That can be availed.
yes, we are going for that route. But we will take the discussion offline because we have to go for lunch. So let me thank you again for elucidating this point that taking advantage of manufacturing facility for loan license is a route. Let me also thank Dr. Binu Philip for your contribution, Dr. Balamurugan, Dr. Chibar, and of course, Shreya. Thank you all for making this a very lively panel discussion. And I now hand it over to you, Shreya. I'm sorry, Dr. Jitendra Kumar. Thank you so much for joining. Despite your very busy schedule, I know that. Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for such an enlightening discussion. May I now request Professor Bandyopadhyay to kindly give a token of appreciation to our esteemed dignitaries for participating in the panel discussion. A big round of applause. Thank you, Dr. Chibbal. Once again, a big round of applause. We are very thankful that all the esteemed dignitaries, they took time out of their busy schedule and participated in the panel discussion. I request Dr. Mitra to kindly facilitate Professor Bandyopadhyay being the chair of the session. Dr. Mitra will felicitate. Thank you, everyone. And we request the panelists to be on the stage, and Dr. Mitra, please be on the stage. So we have product launches of our medtech startup. So we'll be starting with Life and Limb. Nishant, please come on the stage. So Life in Limb AI is a Let's just have a group photograph. So Life in Limb AI is a medtech company founded by Nishant Agarwal. They are into prosthetics. The products are state-of-the-art bionic prostheses developed for the rehabilitation of patients with locomotor disabilities, especially in the case of amputation of the upper limb. The founder, Nishant Agarwal, is an alumnus of IIT Kanpu, and the company has been recognized by several national and international organizations such as American Society of Mechanical Engineers, Falling Walls Lab India, Autodesk Foundation, and Cornell University. They have funding support from BIRAG, DBT, DST, MIT, DSIR, AIMS, Cornell University, ASME, NY, and also they have won several awards and achievements. I also request Professor Ankush Sharma and Dr. Nikhil Agarwal to kindly please come on the stage for the product launch.
Ashriya, just a minute. For all the startups here and the ecosystem enablers, I have had the opportunity to see the journey of Life and Limb and Nadipals and Medantrik to take an idea to this stage to launch the product. The blood and sweat that it takes be described in plain words. So it is an enormous matter of pride for the incubator that we could handle them to this stage, and the credit to the innovators cannot be overstated. So please encourage them in every possible way that they have come all this distance. Thank you.
I request Professor Ankush Sharma to also please come on the stage for the product launch, and Life and Limb team members, and also bio team members, medtech team members who have always helped the startup in their commercialization journey.
So we are a company called Life and Limb, and we make prosthetics or artificial limb. This is the product called BioClass, which is the lower end version of the product, which we started with. We started the journey in 2020, and this product has promises received or the interest received from multi rehab centers like LMCO, AIMS New Delhi, and private as well as public institutions. So I would request sir to please open the casing of this product and see the demo on the video as well.
Dr. Mitra, I request you to please come on the stage for the product launch, please.